Another day that ends in Y and another crossroads for the GOP as their leaders continue to create distance between themselves and their presumptive presidential nominee. The nominating convention draws closer, and the fear turning to resignation by many that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats have just been handed a golden ticket to the White House. Now, granted, it's not as if the election is tomorrow. We have seen such fortunes rise and fade with the regularity of coastal tides. But current numbers show that every slice of damage against Donald Trump is self-inflicted. Can he be muffled in time to save the election? More to the point, can he be contained in order to save the sanity of those in the nation's capital who are at this very moment fearful he will cost them everything, their jobs, their reputations, their key to the congressional washroom? And in the search for real heroes, don't go to the movies. Seek out the story of a 16-year-old named Brittany. Your phone calls at 1-877-NEWSMAX will be part of the conversation. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hardline for Friday, June 10th, 2016.
We were in the green room together in Louisville at the NRA convention a few weeks ago, and I said, "Hey, Donald, you got a script?" And he pulled it out of his pocket. He said, "You know, I hate scripts. They're so boring." I said, "Put me down in favor of boring." You've demonstrated you have a lot of Twitter followers, and you're good at turning on a big audience. Now you need to demonstrate you have the seriousness of purpose that is required of being president of the United States. And most candidates, on frequent occasions, use a script. So we'll see whether that's something he's capable of doing.
It is unprecedented in modern American politics. The person chosen by millions of registered voters to be the person they want to see running for president of the United States. Yet 5 months from what should be the crowning achievement of taking back the White House, or at least getting started, support for Donald Trump is eroding daily. From the top, the polls show that he quite frankly needs to stop with the pablum pushing of name-calling and attack on the issues. And there's a growing element within the GOP seeking to get him in line fast, or face what they consider the dire consequences of next year having to say the words, Madam President. Your phone calls must be part of where we go from here. Get on the line right now at 1-877-NEWSMAX. 1-877-639-7629. Be prepared to react. We ask that you stay on topic, make your point, as this is the only news network that gives you such a chance. Let's welcome back the veteran presidential strategist, Newsmax TV political analyst, author of the new forthcoming must-read, Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary, Dick Morris. Dick, always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Let's get started here. We heard Mitch McConnell there from the Masters in Politics podcast on Bloomberg Politics. He has also come out and said that Donald Trump doesn't know much about the issues. And here we have what is a splintering GOP. How does Donald Trump and how does the GOP hierarchy stop this bleeding right now?
Ed Berliner, I do not agree with a single thing you said on this show. I disagree with all of it.
That's quite all right. You can go ahead and go right for it.
I don't think the Republican Party is splintering. I don't think his support is eroding. I think the same establishment politicians that tried to beat him for 9 months during the primary campaign are still at it, and they'll be as unsuccessful this time as they were last time. And the news media, which would dearly love to see Hillary elected, is hyping every bit of it and giving them all the airtime they want to criticize Donald Trump. But the fact is that the vast bulk of the electorate, particularly those who have had some college, high school grads, not the lawyers, but everybody else, sees in Donald Trump an authenticity, a verisimilitude, a realness that they really respect. And the criticism of the establishment simply ratifies that. And they look at Hillary and they see phony. They look at Donald and they see real. They look at Hillary and they see lie. They look at Donald and they say he's telling the truth. They look at Hillary and they see craven cowardice to adjust her position to the winds of the moment. They see Trump as a brave leader that brings people to his side. And I don't think he's eroding at all. And I don't think he's doing a bad job. And if he sticks to scripts like Mitch McConnell said, he'll end up as badly off as Mitch McConnell is, one of the most hated people in the Republican Party.
Then what we are also seeing, and again, it's fair to note that you are a supporter of Donald Trump, but let's also point out that let's get to the fact that with the polls, as far as the polls are concerned, Dick, that there is a Fox News poll that came out yesterday that showed that Donald Trump, who was once leading by as many as 3 to 5 points, is now down 42 to 39%. Would you not say that that at least indicates that there is an erosion going on for the Trump campaign at this moment?
No, not really. It's a very high undecided vote. I want to note my support for Donald Trump is about 3 weeks old. I was not supporting him in the primary, but I think that he is a hell of a candidate. He beat everybody else, and I think those same techniques are going to carry him to victory in the election. There's no statistical difference between a 2-point lead and a 3-point loss this far in advance on a sample of 900 voters. And I think that it's very important for us to understand that the people that don't write columns, that don't talk on television, that aren't the political pundits, are now a separate political entity that supports Donald Trump and opposes Hillary Clinton. And they're not only on the right, they're also on the left. And this is not, it used to be left versus right. Then it was insider versus outsider. Now it's upper class versus everybody else.
So then let's point to the Newsmax.com website tonight, where one of the leading stories, and I quote, GOP insiders pressure Trump to steer clear of controversy. Would you then disagree with those who say that the party needs to keep Donald Trump in check? Many people say it's impossible, and it's what his people want. He doesn't want to disappoint his followers. Why should he be in check at this point? So you then would disagree with that?
I would say they should keep themselves in check and let Donald go. They have thought Donald should be in check ever since that first interview with Megyn Kelly. And he's disregarded that advice with great success. He's crafted a new dynamic path in politics. And those insiders and pundits should proceed to follow him. I think the issue here is not Trump being off script. It's that they think that there's a script, and I don't think Donald does. The important thing about Trump is the novelty, the break from the establishment, the different flair of what he's doing. And to try to fence him into conventionality would be a horrific mistake.
If you want to join us, 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-NEWSMAX. Dick, let's now go to a new anonymous survey from Politico asking Republican insiders the question, would you like to see an organized effort to change the rules of the Republican convention to stop Donald Trump from winning the GOP nomination? 37% said yes, change the rules. 63% said they would not. Is it not fair to say that no matter which number you agree or disagree with, this is dangerous territory that the GOP establishment is walking into?
Yeah, it's dangerous for them because they're increasingly fencing themselves out of a new Republican Party that's emerging around Donald Trump. And they're increasingly consigning themselves to what Marx called the ash heap of history.
1-877-NEWSMAX. Let's get a couple of phone calls in here. Dave from Mio, Michigan joins us. Dave, you're on the hard line. You believe the establishment needs to back up Donald Trump, yes?
Yes,
Hey,
I do, but we don't particularly care if the establishment does or doesn't. We feel, as voters supporting Trump, that we have enough new voters out there, former Democrats and Republicans, to defeat Hillary Clinton in the general without McConnell, without Ryan, without any of them.
All right, Dave, thanks so much for your call. 1-877-NEWSMAX. Betty from Cincinnati, Ohio. Betty, I know you want to go ahead and applaud Dick Morris for standing up for Donald Trump. You go right ahead.
Yes, I do, Dick. I want to applaud you for standing up for Mr. Trump. He's standing alone amongst the millions of people who would rather see him gone. But he's up there alone, and we as Americans need to stand with Donald Trump and vote for him.
All right, Betty, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. 1-877-NEWSMAX. If anybody else would like to come in and join us, please do. Dick, while we're waiting for phone callers here, let me go ahead and slip here a little bit to what happened earlier today. Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton met this morning in Washington, D.C. There is a tremendous amount of talk that Elizabeth Warren would be the perfect vice presidential candidate because she is the attack dog that goes after Donald Trump. I'm going to wager that you would disagree with that.
No, I think it would be a skillful move on Hillary's part because she has to do something to attract the Sanders voters. It would be cataclysmic for Elizabeth Warren because in one stroke she'd be undercutting her entire brand. I think the left of the Democratic Party has to be revolted by the way Bernie Sanders has folded like a cheap suit. He came in and said, join me, the revolution, the top 1%, redefining American politics. And then after he lost the last primary, he said, oh, sorry, never mind that. Go away. I'm for Hillary. And let me say this, Ed, there was a new article, a new analysis by Nate Cohn of the New York Times that deserves careful reading. They have re-examined the exit polls of the professional pollsters, which is the Bible of polling. That's how you tell who's right and who's wrong. It's like the answers to the math test, because they've already voted. And they have concluded that because of early voting and other factors, the exit polling is wrong in that it does not tell us the demographics of the American electorate. And it turns out the American electorate is whiter, older, and less educated than the earlier polling had suggested. And it suggests that the reason Obama beat Romney and McCain was not primarily that he got out new legions of minority voters to support him. That was part of it. But the main part of it was that he persuaded downscale white voters and white voters who are younger but college educated to switch and to vote for him or to stay home and not vote Republican.
All right.
And that's what Donald Trump is aiming at very specifically.
All right, we got about 60 seconds left. Let's get one more phone call in here. James from Phoenix, Arizona. You join us right here on the Hardline. James, you got 30 seconds. Please go ahead.
Hey, James.
Hi, how you doing? I'm just calling because I believe in Donald Trump because, as the media has said, that we are suffering. But there's some people like me out there that are really suffering beyond what the media really understands. And I believe that Donald Trump gets it and understands it, and that he's really here for us, and not like the other side where they twist it and bend it and make people believe it, and it's not true.
We appreciate your call. Dick, let's put a bow tie on this. I only got about 20 seconds left, but what you're saying and what other people are saying is leave Donald Trump alone. He's doing just fine.
He's right. The American politics is divided into those who get it and those that don't get it. And right now, Trump's got it, and his Republican critics don't get it.
And that's what's going to lead us right to the next stage and the next weekend and the next speech, and then come November, because this thing is far indeed from over. The new forthcoming book, by the way, let's remind everybody once again, is Armageddon, How Trump Can Defeat Hillary. And if you want Donald Trump in the White House, this is the book that will tell you exactly how it needs to be done. Dick Morris, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. More of your phone calls at 1-877-NEWSMAX. After we break, we welcome in the Friday version of The Political Animal, because quite frankly, this is a discussion that's going to go on for some time, plus Elizabeth Warren, plus Hillary Clinton, plus a lot more with your phone calls when we come back right here on The Hardline.